Top of the middle of the day to you boys and girls. We're outside the shop with our little mini sawbuck and our little mini logs, and we're going to be testing a Jonsered cs2166, which is, well, according to the placard, it's a 71cc saw. Similar to the Husqvarna 372 x-torq with the cylinder design. Pretty noticeable though, the air cleaner is a little bit different, and if you get inside the engine there's a few differences too. We might be taking a look at that later, I'm not sure. But anyway, we're going to run a 24-inch steel bar, and we have some full comp chain on it, and it's the first grind on the chain, sharpening operation, still trying to get everything dialed in, and I kind of got it set up to run on a 461 that I'm going to get after there's knots with it after we get in there a little bit. So not sure how these two little mighty mites are going to pull this particular chain. I did gear it down, however. We're running 7.2 sprockets on both the Husqvarna and the Jonsered. So 4.8 essentially horsepower is the rating. The 372 x-torq comes in at 4.5, I believe it is. So, excuse me, 5.4. And this saw has a little bit of time on it, so the advantage from the break-in perspective goes to the Jonsered. The 372 is pretty new. We're going to be running them around 13 or so just to try to make things equal. And there'll be a bar change in the middle, and that will be a good time to hit the fridge for a pop, just to keep things on the up and up on my end, of course, because of the speculation, I guess, that's going on here and there. So anyway, we're going to give them one run each, unfortunately, because we're going to be getting into the knots in just a second, a couple inches back, and I don't want to sway the results too bad. So here we go. So you can see the cap over the transfer port right there. Again, really similar in cylinder design. Carbon copy, I guess. And one thing I did notice about the clutch cover is it's got the tough guy look, which is pretty awesome. It still has the chicken whippy dust flap in it though, but yeah, that's the way it goes sometimes. And one thing that I will note with this darker color, if a guy's working next to the road, this is a saw that's a lot easier to hide in the bushes. A lot of times, you know, you want to just leave your saw in your strip, and this color combination is pretty easy to actually hide right next to the road. That I have noticed. So we did a lot of idling, warming everything up, and we were loaded up pretty good, and there you have it. And we got pretty close to cutting out on that one, a little closer than I wanted. Maybe we might take one more. could tell she was struggling a little bit with the chain. Another thing that I think is actually kind of cool in a way is the angle of the recoil assembly or pull starter cover. I actually had a 272 back in the I think it was late 80s, early 90s, and I put a 630 Jonsered pull starter cover on it because they bolted right up to the cases, and the angle that the rope came out of the assembly was canted much further back. Husqvarna's for some reason had a hard time figuring that part out, and you'd wear the little guide out pretty good with your rope, have to replace those. The Jonsered is a much better setup from that perspective, from what I've observed using them actually. Alright, so bar change. And again, 7/2 sprocket on it. So they're running pretty close to the same. One thing I noticed after starting this up, I could smell the stink from the original oil. Oh my gosh, pretty much putrid. And again, we can see the cap right here over the transfer port. And we'll notice all the excess oil. Husqvarna does a nice job with their oilers from what I can tell, running them over the years. And let's begin this session. So she felt like she was running a little bit better, just from what I can tell. Tried to let him feed. We didn't cut out with this one. I'll be curious to see what the times are between the two, and a little higher RPM as well. And we could see applying a little bit of pressure on the x-torq 372. We could actually load it up a little bit, and it didn't stall out quite as easy. So I guess I have my work cut out for me with the 2166, and we can see we're starting to get into the knot. So that's kind of interesting. Anyway, we're going to have both of these in the shop around the same time. With any luck, I'll be able to use the same bar and chain and go at it again here when they're done. Although I think the Jonsered is going to get some more work done to it. If, once I get inside there, everything checks out as being sanitary. So anyway, thanks for watching this session. Have a blessed day wherever you might be on God's green earth.